before my grandfathers migrated from Croatia.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's Grant Cameron here, and I have Marcel Vidovic with me. And if you're into Ce5s, if you're into contact, you got to hear this guy's stories. I've since I guess I saw the video in 2017 when we were at Mount Shasta. You were across the road, and then I think I met you at another event somewhere. I can't remember, it was Toronto or somewhere.
It was in Laughlin, Nevada, one of the Bill Harris events when Enrique spoke.
Okay, yeah. So you started talking about these encounters that you'd had, and seems like you've been doing this a long time. So I'm really honored to talk to you and to hear your stories, especially when you told me the New Zealand one. I hadn't heard that one. So let's maybe start from the beginning. What's your story on UFOs, and how do you get into this game?
Wow. Actually, it hasn't been a long time. Contact work for me has only been since January of 2015.
Wow.
Yeah. Prior to this, I had a normal life. I came from Bolivia, South America. I was raised by my grandmother and my mother here in the U.S. I have a twin brother. Grew up in the 70s, went to high school in Saginaw, Michigan, and ended up going to Michigan State afterwards and lived a typical 70s lifestyle. Got a degree in microbiology, biochemistry, graduated, but never followed that career. To make fast forward a little bit more, I ended up getting into commercial real estate appraising, and my specialty are hotels. So I travel all over the country appraising hotels.
Okay.
Somewhere in high school, latter part of high school, I guess even prior to that, I always had a fascination for UFOs. But latter part of high school, I started doing a little bit of research. Didn't know much about it. I was fascinated by what was out there. The internet wasn't available yet, so we had to get stuff from books.
Yeah.
Once I started my career, ended up having a son and so on, probably, I'm going to say maybe 10 to 15 years ago, I started having some realizations that something was not right with our entire society. There was just something that didn't make any sense. And when we had the big downturn in 2009 and gas prices shot, I think, to almost $5 a gallon, I was in my office and I thought, this is ridiculous. And I'm talking to my coworkers saying, we're relying on gasoline, yet, when I was a kid, when we were in middle school, we were fracturing water, making hydrogen and oxygen. And, how can, with all the technology that the U.S. and other, advanced countries have, how can we not have this alternative fuels? So that kind of started rolling the ball a little bit into where I started doing a bunch of research on Nikola Tesla and Stan Myers and a whole bunch of other inventors across the world. And was actually quite fascinated of what I discovered, that a lot of this technology has been around. It was produced, but it's not going anywhere because it was either bought out, people were intimidated, or I hate to say this, some people were killed. So that concomitant with my desire to learn more about UFOs, I started doing a little bit more research. It came upon Dr. Greer. Followed his work for a little while, but because I was so busy with my business, it was very difficult to kind of juggle the two. But eventually, sometime in 2014, it got to the point where I just needed to get more information. I got back on Dr. Greer's side and started reading some of what he's been doing, and I didn't realize at that point that he had these excursions that he had, these 1 week long events where you could go sit under the stars and make contact. I was very fascinated, and I thought, this sounds interesting. So within a few months, I saw that he had an expedition coming up in Vero Beach, Florida. So I decided to sign up for it. So sometime, I think maybe beginning of December or end of November, I got on his website and went to sign up, and boom, it was filled up. So I was really discouraged. I said, oh, darn it. So I still put my name in there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, January 2nd or 3rd, I'm working in my office, tapping the computer. I get an email about an opening from Anna Kramer, opening for Vero Beach. I dropped everything, hit the link, did the PayPal, boom, next thing you know is congratulations, you're going to Vero Beach.
Yeah.
Grant, I had no idea what I was getting into. My desire was to meet the guy who's pioneered the disclosure movement, brought all these witnesses forward.
Yeah.
You know, I had a scientific approach to it. You know, I had no knowledge of consciousness. You know, I grew up Catholic and went to Catholic school, and and went to church every Sunday with my family, but it never resonated. That never really appealed to me. So anyway, so I went kind of blindly. I didn't tell anybody in my office or family that I'm going to go on this because they thought I would be a kook. I decided this is something that I need to do. Yeah. So I went to Vero Beach and met Dr. Greer, which is a great pleasure. And the first night we sat in a circle and we started meditating. And believe it or not, I was shocked. I'm like, what's this? Why are we in a circle? What are we doing? And, you know, we're holding hands and so on. I thought, holy cow, this is totally different than what I anticipated. Yeah. And, you know, people got into meditation, and next thing you know, they're sharing their stories. And you got people like Ricky Butterfest, who I met there, about the Intergalactic Council and going there and having these experiences. And I'm looking around going, what the heck is this? You know, what did I get into? But I went with the flow. It was very, it was a great environment, great group of people. So the next night we had a encounter where we had a light come down, almost like a spider dropping from the sky. It went, it lit up and disappeared. And I thought, wow, that's fascinating. That's really cool. And shortly thereafter, we had two like security guards walking the beach with their flashlights, looking at something, like something fell on the water. And Dr. Greer told everybody to stay calm and, you know, don't say anything. But we watched them, and I was very curious, going, well, wait a minute, is this related to that light that dropped? And, you know, we have security within 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. Yes. Okay, so let's fast forward to the next day. The next day, we're getting ready to do the puja, and all of a sudden, this is January, I think it's the 27th or something of January, Vero Beach, Florida, just north of Daytona, 9:10 at night. It's dark. We're looking straight out into the ocean, and all of a sudden, there's this golden ship that just appears and manifests and just starts pulsating, and it's the size of the sun. I mean, it's just big and pulsating. I'm just like, whoa. And then Dr. Greer starts communicating using his laser, telling everybody to calm down, get in a certain, welcoming position, which I did. And then as soon as he's done signaling, a second ship appeared and it started pulsing. So the two of them, the size of the sun, are pulsing at us. And to me, I sat there in absolute awe. Like, this is a spiritual moment here that I came and I needed something this concrete to, I guess, in a sense, say I became a believer. Yeah. So it's a very powerful event. It lasted, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 minutes. The ships went away. But from that moment forward, everything was different. The next day, we had security drones or choppers going by the hotel. We had all this activity going on. But that was enough for me that my life has never took a turn and has never been the same. Yeah. I ended up meeting a few people there. One was Kimberly Porth, who lives in Michigan, very close to me, who, along with Mark Sims and another woman that are from Michigan, and they took my number and said, hey, we do contact work in Michigan. We'd love for you to join us. So I became friends with them, and the team wasn't quite coherent yet. They had, a few people coming and going, but the following April of that year, we ended up going to Northern California. It's called Laytonville. And we went there to do a Ce5 that was orchestrated by Mark Sims in this beautiful area of Northern California, and ended up meeting Dr. Joseph Burks. So one of the original CSETI senior ambassadors fascinating person, got to meet him, and we spent a couple nights doing CE5 work. So I was getting my experience with somebody. Here's Dr. Greer and I meet Joseph Birch, which is pretty fascinating. So in June that same year, we ended up doing a CE5 in Port Austin, and this time it was just the local group. There was no senior ambassadors involved. It was myself, Kimberly, and about 6 other people, and we ended up meditating and going through the whole CE5 protocols. And at about 11:11, coincidentally, a couple crafts start coming in. I grab my laser, I start signaling it, and it starts responding. It was almost to the point where I was giddy, going, you know what? I'm communicating with some craft out there, some intelligence out there, and it's responding. So that was just fascinating. After that, about a year went by. I ended up having to work and take care of my business, so I kind of put CE5 on the side a little bit. But the following May, a group of us from our local CE5 team went to Sedona, Arizona. And this is where I ended up meeting another person that became part of our group, Maddie, who you've met in Mount Shasta, and also Ricky Butterfest came. And this is where I really became good friends with Ricky and got to know him as a person and understand everything that he's done over the 20-some year period, which is, he's got a fascinating story. So we had an experience. We meditated. Maddie and some of the people were able to tune in into some crafts that were there. They were on the ground. I personally didn't witness anything. I sensed some mist and that type of thing. But at the end of the night, somebody noted, had an iPhone and took a picture of something that they saw. And when they took a picture of it, it was a thin craft that was ascending. And that's the only thing we had at that point in time. I had no cameras. I didn't have any equipment to do this work. So that's May, and that actually, I think, formed the basis or the foundation for our local C5 team. After that, we decided, let's be more aggressive at forming a team. By then, we lost several of the people, and it was just Kimberly and I and 2 other people. So that was a good start. Fast forward another couple months, and we're in August, and I ended up going to Enrique Villanueva's Rama event. And I believe 2016 was his first year that he opened it up to the English-speaking population. Usually this was all done for the Lands and the Peruvians.
Yeah.
So this was really fascinating because it was another protocol to making contact. And because I'm Bolivian, next door to Peru, and I speak Spanish as well, I kind of bonded with Enrique and was amazed at his protocols and what they do to make contact. Unlike the CE5, where we use a lot of technology to validate what transpired, they don't. They have an antenna, and so it's a whole different process, but I was very fascinated with it. And having that bonding experience was really profound. Even though that first year did not experience much, the fact that we're able to come together as a group and energize each other was really powerful. I didn't quite understand about the consciousness part of it, but this was, I think, an awakening for that. The only anomalous experience that I had during this 2016 event at Mount Shasta is I was asleep, and maybe 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up because the ground was shaking. Right, I had a ridge raft that I was on, and the whole ridge raft is bouncing. And I'm like, whoa. And I'm like, man, I think I put my tent too close to the railroad tracks. I was tired. I had no idea. And as you know, there's no railroad tracks anywhere extending to where we're at. So I explained that the next day, and people said, well, I think you had an experience. I said, well, what are you talking about? I said, I know it wasn't a dream. I was set up, and I'm holding, my ridge raft going, what, that ground shaking. So I kind of did not understand what was happening. But I went with it, and it was a beautiful experience. The very next month, I signed up for another Greer expedition. So now I go to Joshua Tree, California in 2016. And here is where things really turned for me as far as having a a better understanding of consciousness, CE5, the contact movement. I met a lot of new people, including Jeremy Cloak, who became a very good friend of mine who lives in New Zealand. I met Ignacio Malave, Lyra, who's also volunteered for Dr. Greer, on Linda Martucci, and several other ones. So this is the basis of establishing friendships with these people that really do a lot of CE5 work, and it was very powerful. I also ended up purchasing a camera. It was a night vision camera, but a fairly inexpensive one. But I really wanted to record what was happening, so I bought that, and it was an incredible experience. At this time, because I was so tuned in, I started to realize, and I bought a radar detector. I also bought a magnetometer, a tri-field meter that sets on magnetometer remote. I bought a lightning detector and a laser, so I was kind of equipped a little bit more to document what transpired. So I started realizing that as anomalous things started coming, that our equipment would start acting up. My radar detector started going off along with Dr. Greer's as we sensed a craft that was coming. My lightning detector would show strikes, 9 strikes in a couple hours, yet the humidity level, I think we looked at it that evening, was like 20%. And the lightning detector, Grant, only detects electrical current in the atmosphere about a 50-mile radius only. It can't pick anything up except for high voltage. Yeah. Well, here I'm picking up 9 strikes. By 11 p.m., it's 22 strikes. And I think by 1:30, when we finished and went to debriefing, I had 32 strikes on my lightning detector. So something came by. There was a mist. Dr. Greer explained that there was a large craft above us. Tri-field meters were active. It landed. Some people had an experience there. I did not have a personal experience. I sensed this and looked at my gear. Well, the very next day, we have, at about 11 something at night, we have 2 lights coming in, and they start really high. They descend and start coming towards the group, and they get really bright. I have my camera. I'm recording. Daniel Dehane's recording, and the thing comes. It's right above the group, about maybe 80 degrees, and then it ascends. One light goes up. The second light goes up. Fascinating. The radar detectors were going crazy, and it happened for 3 nights in a row. And it came from different directions. So the vector came in from one direction, then the next night it came from a totally different direction, and the same thing the third night. Well, there was a gentleman that had a full spectrum camera. He had a Canon modified camera where they removed the actual filter so it can pick up infrared, ultraviolet, and so on. And he was, spraying, just shooting as many still shots as possible concomitantly with his regular camera. Well, what we thought were 2 crafts, kind of like a tandem craft, ended up being one massive craft. He's got, and I have pictures of it, and I have video. I can share the screen and show you that if you like as well. But this was absolutely fascinating. We estimate between 2 to 3 mile long craft. They had 2 arms that were pointing down, and that's the lights that we saw. When it rotated, and what happened was one arm went up and the other arm went down, and we have pictures of this that he recorded, and that's what we saw, the separation, and we thought it ascended, but it was rotating. Eventually it did ascend. So we had that experience for 3 nights. That again to me was a very profound experience. This is my second Greer expedition, and I see something like this. All doubt during that event just left me. And the other thing is what's really interesting, and you being in this field, you realize that there's a big fear factor with UFOs and ETs in general. And I think that has a lot to do with what happened with the movie industry, Hollywood, the intelligence community, and what have you, as far as instilling a lot of fear. So even up to that point, I had still a little bit of fear of ETs. I would have dreams at night that there's something in my room, and then I would be frozen, only paralyzed. And I tried screaming and I couldn't. And this has went on for years and years. And the reason I'm bringing this up, because when I stayed in the house during this event, the second night I was sleeping, and in the middle of the night, the ET, or this, I don't want to call it ET, let's say this entity, came next to me as it always did. And this time, instead of screaming or trying to scream, I just opened my arms and tried to embrace it. I said, I need to embrace you.
Wow.
And what was fascinating is I woke up and I was sitting in my bed with my arms around my chest. I mean, it sounds strange, but at that point it was a pivotal point in which I lost all fear. I lost the fear of the unknown, let's say.
Yeah. And
that experience of the entity coming and having the fear disappeared forever. I haven't had it since. So it was during this expedition that occurred. Okay, so now I met Jeremy and several other people. So we had another event that we put together the following February. So a few months later in Tucson, 7 of us went down there, had our own personal experience. Jeremy, who's very gifted in terms of his contact work, was there with us and experienced small ET beings. I didn't see them because I was really now busy with my camera equipment, because I thought I'm going to capture everything that we possibly can. Yeah. So when the group broke for a little break, they sensed something and somebody saw something near the fence. So I think 4 of them went there. I'm shooting the sky and shooting everything else, trying to see if I can pick up something. Well, he's got his tri-field meter, and he is taking it to the beam and realizing that the meter goes off when it's close to the ground and going up about 2.5 feet. And then when he moves sideways, it disappears. So there's an area of where this anomaly would trigger, or this entity would trigger the tri-field meter. And they could hear clickings. So they had this profound experience. I know that Kimberly was one of it, and a couple other people that we met that came from Austria were there. Unfortunately, over a couple of years, they became my nemesis for I have no idea why. But they experienced this as well. So it was a very profound experience. What was interesting is here we are, a small group of people. We're in the middle of some field, and at middle of the night, maybe 1 a.m., we're all meditating, and a helicopter is flying by, and it comes right over the group and poof, spots us, puts a spotlight on us,
wow,
stops and takes off, and we're like, okay, that's 1,000,000 to 1. I mean, you know, why did we get spotted? No big deal. We get in our cars, we leave, and it's probably maybe 2 a.m. by the time we left. We get on the road, and this black SUV, and there's 2 cars following each other. I was leading, the other car was behind me. This black SUV comes next to us and comes between us and separates us.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the heck is this? So I go around him, pass him. No, I'm sorry. I was leading. The other guy behind me goes around him and tries to get behind me. Well, the SUV goes all the way to the right side and is kind of paralleling me. We came to our intersection to take a left, and I had my blinker on. The SUV from the right lane takes a left and cuts me off, gets in front of us.
Wow.
And I thought, you know, and it could be coincidence. It could be just some crazy guy that's following us, but because of the chopper thing. Yeah. So anyways, I see the SUV, gets about, I don't know, a third of a mile away, and then takes a right into a driveway, enters to a subdivision, backs his car up, and has his lights on, facing our road.
Wow.
So I thought, oh, this is crazy. So we passed by, and I looked to see if he's going to follow us, and he didn't follow us. So that was just another weird event that occurred during our C5 event. Wow. That's February. Now comes March. So this is now I'm so into the experience of what we've been having that Jeremy Cloak planned an event in Lake Taupo, New Zealand. And this was for about 25 experienced people from all over the world. And he invited me to go. So myself, he put this together with Doug Parker, Ricky Butterfest, and some other people from New Zealand. And myself, Linda Martouche, Ann, and Lara, who we've met during the Greer Ce5 events, went as well. And this is where I met another good friend that became a good friend, Justice Campbell, who's a pilot out of Dallas, who runs a very large CE5 team out of Dallas. So this was a beautiful experience where he found this retreat site that had an actual Merkaba made out of cement in the lawn, massive. This thing had to have been maybe 80 yards circumference with a Merkaba, all open to do CE5 work. So it was a beautiful experience. So during this experience, as we sat the first night and did our meditation, and I'm following the protocol. And for this event, I ended up upgrading to a Nikon Coolpix P900 camera because I needed better shots.
Yeah.
And that was a beautiful camera. You could zoom in on craters on the moon and so on. It's great for long distance, not very good for night photography.
Yeah.
But I purchased that thinking this is going to be a great camera for contact movement. The first night, as we were sitting in a circle, this is where it all started for me as far as the intuition and the consciousness. I felt as we were in deep meditation, somebody came behind me or something and pressed on my shoulder. A nice firm squeeze. Yeah. And I had my eyes closed. I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. This is kind of wild. Concomitant with that, I had this incredible sense of euphoria in here, in my heart. And it was really pleasant, and it was, it's really hard to put into words, a very incredible feeling. Right? So it's almost like an intense love feeling. And here I am with most of them strangers sitting in a group, but just feeling this incredible warmth inside. And it felt really good. And I bring that up because that feeling now happens to me whenever we're going to have contact. Oh. So as we're sitting down, doing our protocols, fiddling with this, that, and I get that feeling, I now say they're here. Wow. Because it's amazing.
So you're like the Rama would call like an antenna type person then. You once you've interacted with it, you can pick it up when it's in the area?
Yes. I don't know if I'm as like the antenna person who actually has that direct communication. I feel it. I have a feeling that's really intense now. Okay. I didn't realize it previously to that, or maybe I didn't have it develop, but it developed in New Zealand. That intensity is really, really profound. And now I can tell you, when all the events that I have, they're here, something's going to happen. So we had, Ricky coined this Alexander the Great ship, which was a very large ship, similar to the one that came by. And, we have no idea if it's the same one that came by in the Joshua tree with the two tubular arms, but we had that come by. We had a flashing one that was sporadically flashing above us, 18 flashes before the craft came by, kind of letting us know, hey, we're here. My several tri-field meters were very active. My radar detector was going absolutely crazy. And by the way, we're in the middle of nowhere. There's no way that it's picking up either alarm systems or cop cars or cops that have the radar. So during the break, I think it was the third evening, we all break. We all go use the bathroom, and I come back and I start walking towards the wood, feeling really good about the experience, saying, you know what? This is amazing. I'm in the other side of the world, having an incredible experience with incredible people. And I start walking towards the woods with my hands open to see if I could see something. And I see my friend Jeremy, and I believe Doug Parker was with him. It was another gentleman. And they were kind of kneeling near the trees. And Jeremy says, hey, Marcel, walk over here very quietly. So I do. I walk over there, and he says, do you hear that? And I put my ear out, and I started hearing these clicking sounds, which happened to Jeremy in Tucson in February. And also he could hear this, and several other people heard this at the Greer event. that fall when I went. I could never hear these clicking sounds. But now I'm near the woods and I'm hearing it. And of course my mind is like, it's gotta be the trees. You know, I'm looking, maybe it's the leaves doing this, you know, because I'm always trying to process where this is coming from instead of just letting go. So I'm listening, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And then I kind of kneel down and I see this kind of like a shimmering light very close to the ground in front of me. And I'm like, what the heck? And Jeremy says, hey, Marcel, you got their attention. They're coming towards you. I'm like, are you seeing that? He goes, yeah, they're very curious with you.
Oh, wow.
There's another one coming towards you. And then all I could see, and it's very faint, but it's very scintillating lights that are no more than 2 feet tall coming towards me. And right then I'm like, I am ready for this. I was kneeling. I opened my hands like this, and I said, I welcome you. And I could see the light getting closer and closer. And at this point, a normal person would start feeling fear.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm ready for this experience. And I did that, and all of a sudden, the light gets really close, and I feel the most gentle touch of my left thumb. Just a light little pressing. And again, very electrified, a euphoric, loving feeling.
Yeah.
And then I feel my index finger on my right hand being touched.
Wow.
And I said, it also looked funny because I had a grin from ear to ear. It was pitch black, but I'm just giddy going, this is absolutely amazing. And that lasted, I don't know, maybe 20 seconds or so. And then the lights just kind of backed off and they went away.
Wow.
And that was so profound for me to have physical contact. I needed the Vero Beach lights because I needed to be convinced that there's this existence. If you tell me I got some, you know, shimmering lights that I saw, I'm like, oh, that's really great, Grant. That's nobody else saw it, you saw it.
Yeah.
So that was to me the turning point to get me to where I was. And then having this contact experience was different than the physical aerial phenomenon that occurred both in the Joshua Tree event with the twin ships and the Vero Beach one. It was a personal experience that I had.
Yeah.
That was, again, very, very monumental for me. So we also had other contact experiences. I won't get into it because we'll be here. I can show you pictures. We'll be here for 2 days if you look it up. I literally have probably thousands of photographs and probably close to 100 plus videos of all these events with actual ET crafts and anomalous pictures.
Do you do lecturing? Do you give lectures?
No, I haven't yet. Well, I take that back. We were asked to speak at a MUFON event in Michigan last year in April. Kim, who co-runs the our Ce5 team, went to a MUFON meeting that one of our great team members was part of, who passed away suddenly last February. And he was a MUFON member, and she went kind of in his honor to talk about, to be supportive. And she ended up giving a little Ce5 blurb to a bunch of MUFON people.
Wow.
And the funny thing is they got kind of fascinated with it. So they called her back and said, would you do a presentation for our group? So she called me and said, I need help. They want a presentation. You have all the technology. You know a lot about this stuff. You know PowerPoint. You know, can you help? I said, I'd love to. So they set something up for a few months later. So I just kind of put together a presentation of what Ce5 is, some of the experiences we've had, videos, photographs, and so on, and a little bit of history of the contact movement, and put it together. We went there, and they gave us an hour and a half, and it went for 3 hours.
Wow.
The first hour was brutal because the questions came from these, I call them entrenched pocket protectors.
Yeah.
You know, tri-field meter. Well, how do you know your tri-field meter wasn't picking this up or that? And obviously, we've already gone through all that in our own personal circles, trying to make sure that what we're picking up is not a power line, or we're not, either on the ground or above, and so on. So I try to explain everything that transpired in those videos and photographs that I showed. And it took about the second half of the event that they started opening up, and the pressure of trying to convince them kind of dissipated. And it was more of a dialogue, and now I noticed this curiosity. So we had questions now for nearly an hour. They were cleaning up and asking us, we have to leave. We had those people. So that was really amazing to see the transformation of just regular people, or people that are from let's call it the scientific community, so to speak, that need the nuts and bolts and the facts. Yeah, exactly. Well, next thing you know, 3 of them asked if they could join our team and come to our next Ce5 event, which was wonderful. So, and we did, and they came to our event, and we had 6 people from our group, and 3 of these people. And what happened was during that event, and believe it, okay, so we had a site picked out south of Ann Arbor, and we were kind of scrambling to find a permanent site, because as you know, it's really difficult when you live in a populated area to find a secluded site. So I was looking at abandoned airstrips, and I'm looking at old Google Maps and looking at abandoned strips in Michigan. I found one just south of Ann Arbor. So I got the team ready. I said, hey, I think I found one. So we went there, and what I realized is the strip was abandoned, but it was full of woods now grown over, and a highway divided it in half. So it's not the great one, but coincidentally, there happens to be a little park there that we could drive our car and park our car. So we had our Ce5 event there for the very first time. We have a new group of people now, and I took some pictures. It was dark. It was May. And I have a picture where I was telling everybody to pose, and I do this all the time. I have people, hey, we got to get ready for a picture, and I take several pictures beforehand to get them, getting ready. One of the photographs, Grant, has this incredible light being or light craft behind the gentleman that passed away. We have zero explanation. There's no trail there. There's no drives there. It is a golden light that's mind-blowing that just appeared behind the group, maybe 150 feet behind the group. I had no idea I took it until I got home that evening, or maybe the next morning as I'm going through this. I'm like, what the heck is this? I did aerials. We went over, triangulated, and it's impossible that light should have been there. Anyway, so we had that experience. So that was the teaching. So I haven't, but I'll lead into the next one. So after that, in April of 2017, still Dr. Greer had a premiere in LA. We went to Dr. Greer's premiere. I met some of his security team. And the reason I'm bringing this up, because I also had a session with Enrique Villanueva. I wanted to really know him on his level, what he does, so I had a session with him. Now we are in May of that same year, and I go to Contact in the Desert as a volunteer for Dr. Greer. He has his platform where he did Dr. in a craft. I didn't catch it. I had people that were crowding the stage and even pushing my camera out of the way, so I didn't capture it. But at the house where we were staying, in the daytime, I caught a picture of a ETV very close to the ground. And that evening, a group of us went to Joshua Tree, to the national park, and I had incredible pictures and video of light sources coming out of the center of what I called, what was that? There's an area with boulders that I saw through my camera that there was a light source, and I captured maybe 3 or 4 of them, which is phenomenal because there's nothing out there. You don't see the lanterns. It was golden lights that appeared. So that transpired. July of that same year, we invite Ricky Butterfast to our local Ce5 team, and now we had a solid group that met on a regular basis, and he was part of it. He helped teach the group. Some of the MUFON people came. August that year, now we go to Mount Shasta for my second Enrique Villanueva experience. This time, I now purchased a Sony A6000, thinking I didn't want to spend a ton of money on the A7, so I got the 6000 with some really nice low light lenses that I took with me, and we were going to have the lunar eclipse as well that time. So we reunite, meet more people, several of the same old people. And what Enrique does, he discusses this cesium crystal initiation that a lot of people go through. We practice for a full day, and then that evening, I believe it was Saturday night, we got together in an area near where he had his, I believe, his first contact experience with the large ET being. So we formed a group. I think there was like 50 of us there, and we had a really talented musician that played the bowls, and he's playing the singing bowls, and his music was so amazing that it felt like it was going up in the air and traveling. And he was on my left, but you could hear it above you and to the right and around you. It's just beautiful. So we got into these deep meditation, and Enrique needed assistance, so he ended up taking Madeline Miller and Kimberly Port to help him, because they also were guided to some degree, or received messages. So he used them and took them aside to teach them about this cesium crystal initiation. So we stayed in the circle, and they took groups of people, and I can't recall if it was 8 or 10 people, but one by one they would select randomly the 10 people, and they would walk them into the field, and then eventually walk towards a wooded area where Enrique was doing his thing, so to speak. So I'm waiting, and I waited for a long time. I thought, man, am I going to get chosen? Am I going to do this? Because this looks pretty wild. And so finally my turn comes, and I'm with my group of people. And again, it's 8 to 10 people. And I start walking, and Madeline is leading our people. And as I'm getting into the middle of the field, I'm kind of looking above. I was behind everybody. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, wow, well, what the heck is that? I'm seeing silhouettes, very dark silhouettes, almost like shadow figures in front. So I go around the group, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And I see tall ones and short ones. And I don't know, a dozen, 2 dozen. I mean, the whole forest and in front of the forest is filled with them. And right then I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is incredible. So I kind of walk in front of the group, in front of Maddie, with my arms open for reception. I'm ready to make contact there. And she says, hey, everyone stand behind me. So I was just giddy going. I had this big smile. I've experienced this stuff in New Zealand. Yeah. This is amazing. This is a different protocol. There is so much more energy here. I want to be part of this. So I fall back to the group, and then we go towards the wood area. Our group is ready in that spot, and we form a circle, and everyone has their backs to each other. So we turn around, and we're facing outward, and we're holding hands. And Megan Carl, which I met at Vero Beach, was also there, and she's next to me. I can't recall who was on my left. And Enrique comes by, and he's doing some initiation person by person, and he comes to Megan and says, hey, take your gloves off, because she got really thick gloves on. So she pulls them off, and he does her thing with her, and I had really tight gloves, very thin ones, and I thought it's not a big deal until he came to me and says, take your gloves off. So I said, oh, okay. I took my gloves off, put it in my pocket, and I put my hands out, and as I extend my hands, I see his finger coming down towards my palm on my left hand, and I see this white, bright spark leave his finger and go, and zaps me. It didn't hurt, but it was just, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. What is that? And then so I just closed my eyes, and because then he flipped. What do you do? He put my hands in a certain position and walked away. I'm like, oh, okay. So I've been zapped, and I'm just sitting there with my hands like that, and within seconds, I feel like a touch of pressure on my left hand. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm being touched. This is amazing. And I'm just, wow. And then it keeps traveling down the embrace, I guess I would call it, keeps going down my arm. And I'm feeling my arm. And right then I feel the same thing happening to my right hand, and the pressure in my arm. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm I'm being embraced. There's somebody holding me or pressing on me. And then I felt it going up my chest and also my shoulders, like my whole upper torso with my arms are being embraced. And I'm there going, oh my God, this is so profound. This is amazing. I don't want this to end. And I never want to forget this feeling. I can't, unless you experience something like that, Grant, I can't describe it to you. It is the most incredible euphoric feeling. It's so different than your normal life. Yeah. Of what you're accustomed to living, to experience something like this. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I had that experience, and then I had my eyes closed, and I believe it was Kimberly that came back to the group to finish, and apparently they take your hands, they cross them, and then she used whatever Enrique taught her to do to press both hands towards my chest. Yeah. And when she did that, this energy shot into my heart and came up my throat and into my head, and it was like an explosion of euphoria where I started weeping. I mean, I did not expect this, but all of a sudden I just started, it just emotions. It was like I couldn't control them. It was so emotional. And I'm in that position with my group, weeping, and we walked all the way back to the group. I sat down and I was still weeping when I was in my chair. I can't describe why, and I can't describe the feeling, only that it was that intense that it caused me to weep.
Wow.
And you learned, and I also learned during this last trip at Mount Shasta, that Madeline, who led my group to that area, when she was leading us, saw a red beam of light come from the sky and light up our group. She didn't share that till now, 2 years later, yeah. But apparently she said she didn't want to, I guess, startle the group, but she saw a red beam come down to our group, which is pretty fascinating in itself. So that was that experience with Mount Shasta and Enrique.
What was the joke? What was the joke about you sort of indicated that maybe Enrique had sparked you? What was that where he said?
Oh, so I was giddy. I couldn't sleep that night. It was kind of crazy. So I got up in the morning. I was so energized, and I'm walking down, to where the circle is, where he's going to start the morning session. And there's Enrique sitting by himself in his chair. I run down there and I go, Enrique, and I kneel next to him. I said, I need to know, what did I experience last night? And why did you zap me? And he looks at me and goes, I don't zap anybody. I go, Enrique, you took your finger and zapped me. He goes, that wasn't me. I didn't zap you. I do not recall zapping you. And so I was just like, oh. And then I started thinking, wow, what happened? And then Enrique shared now, this last event, that it took weeks that he now recalled. It came to him now, weeks later, that he actually did see the spark coming out. And I'm not quite sure if he said it came from him, but he actually did witness the spark that hit me. So that was the zapping that I call it. But again, that was, again, such a profound experience to have that, that type of experience along with everything else that transpired. So that kept me going, and then I ended up going to Laughlin, Nevada. I think that November, so a couple months later, I met Sixto Paz, Ricardo Gonzalez, Enrique gave his talk, and then I met you, and we talked a little bit about this, and we ended up taking a group of people. We took you to a little C5 at Spirit Mountain, which is about 20 minutes out there, to do a C5 event. Ricky, who normally led our group, was not there, and Enrique also came, and we had a small group just to get out there, because the previous year, Dr. Greer with several people in a volunteer group went out there, had a profound experience. They had a really wonderful experience at Spirit Mountain, and Dr. Greer liked it a lot, so we thought, let's check it out. So we had that experience with you, but nothing really transpired. We were kind of floundering a little bit because our leader was gone, and when I asked Enrique if he wanted to lead, he said, no, you go ahead and lead. I'm like, well, I've never led a team, so I'm not sure what we're doing. But we did it. And the reason I go to that is because the very next day, at the evening, it was myself, Ricky, Lyra, and two other people went back out there. Oh. And Grant, It was absolutely amazing. I'm in the hotel room and we're getting ready, right? It's early evening, and all of a sudden I hear from my backpack, my radar detector going crazy, and I'm like, that's impossible. It's shut off. All my equipment, that night I shut everything off. My radar detector's going crazy. I pick it up, I run, I go down the hallway, I'm knocking on Lara's door going, this is going off. There's a sign here. My radar detector is going off. So we're all excited. We go to the site. We do the puja. We have our Ce5 meditation. It's break time. I have these cool lenses, so I'm going to take pictures of the Milky Way, and I'm all set up, taking pictures with my tripod of Milky Way when I hear footsteps behind me and behind where Ricky was seated. And I look, and Lara is in the group. The other two people are to the right of her. Ricky is standing by some bushes there. And I'm like, I'm hearing footsteps. There's somebody else here. So as I come back to the group, Ricky says, did you hear these footsteps? I said, yeah, I thought it was one of you guys. I said, no, they're behind the bush here. And they could hear people talking. And I'm like, wow. And the other people that were with Lara said they heard the footsteps as well. I'm like, well, this is crazy. We're all looking around, there's nobody here. So right then I got that energy feeling in my chest, and I said, oh my God, there's something where this mountain is. We need to walk this way. And Lara says, what's going on? I said, we have to walk this way. So we walk over there, and I had my open, position, my hands open like this, and so does she. And all of a sudden we start hearing chanting in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And she says, do you hear that? I said, do you hear people chanting? She goes, yes. Like almost like an Indian tribe doing their chanting. And we're like, wow, that's amazing. We're listening when all of a sudden it's like somebody took one of those commercial spotlights, turns it on and off the mound or the hill to our right, from ground level, kind of lit up. It was whoa, this huge light. We both screamed, oh my God. It lights up, it shuts off. I'm just mesmerized, looking, going, what is going on? Meanwhile, she turned around, and when she turned around, she saw a craft do like a loop behind me now, because I was still staring at where the light was, and she saw it go behind us and then shoot off.
Wow.
We experienced, and ETV probably landed because I could sense something there, and then must have taken off because we saw that huge light that ascended fairly quickly and then went around the group and took off. That was the second night. We should have taken it.
Well, no kidding. I didn't know that happened. Wow.
Yeah, so that transpired. So that was that. Now we come to February, we were in 2018, and I, again, planned a Ce5 trip. We went to Sedona. Back in May, we volunteered for Dr. Greer in Phoenix, went to Sedona first to have some Ce5 experiences. We had the twin ship come in. I have videotape of it. We also did a Ce5 in Phoenix, and that same ship came back the following night. I have pictures of that. So now what's happening is we're getting contact all the time.
Wow.
Wherever our groups are going, we're having contact. Fast forward to June of that same year, June of that year, we now have a cohesive, steady group in Michigan, here in Hamburg, near my house. Okay. We have a site now at a soccer field. I found a soccer field that's absolutely perfect for Ce5 contact. Two of the MUFON people were there. We're doing our protocols. During the break time, we decided to walk in the woods and actually walk the woods. As we're walking the woods, we're now, several of us, maybe 8 of us, are now seeing these shimmering, billowing lights in front of us. Almost like the moon is shining really bright. We had no moon, shining really bright through the leaves where you can see this. So we're seeing it in there. And John, another guy who's part of our team, says, oh, little fairies. I'm like, what? He goes, look. And oh my God, about a foot is these little light things. I mean, almost like the ones I saw in New Zealand, but smaller. And I'm like, wow. And these guys, oh, they're little fairies. And we're looking under the branch, and the same thing happens where all of a sudden, boom, this light source comes, lights the tree up, and disappears.
Wow.
we're all screaming, oh my God, oh my God. Anybody have, the first thing you say, did anybody have a flashlight? And somebody just flashed with a flashlight. No, none of us took flashlights in. So we had that experience. Same month, I go to Colorado now for volunteer for a Greer, one of the Greer talks. And we are at Ricky Butterfield's house. We're in his backyard. And I said, hey, why don't we do a afternoon CE5? I said, and it was him, myself, and Lara, because we were waiting to meet Dr. Greer later that evening. So I said, why don't we lay in your beautiful grass? Because he hasn't gone out in his backyard, he said, in like 10 years.
Wow.
So I set up some chairs and got everything ready. I had to develop a path from his garage that he had so much stuff that you couldn't access the rear door. And when I got to his rear door, it was swollen shut. It took me a long time to get it open because he doesn't use it. So I'm out there and I'm setting up chairs because they were resting. So when they come out, I said, hey, let's have our CE5 event down here. So we go out there and the chairs were uncomfortable. Say, why don't we lay on the lawn? Let's get in a triangle, lay on the lawn. So we do that. We're looking up and I said, oh, look at these beautiful clouds up here. And Ricky says, oh, there's a flash bulb out there, golden one. I said, where? It goes directly above you, where you're looking at the cloud. I look up and there's this, at daytime, this beautiful, bright, golden light just flashes. When it shuts off, it's a black disc.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my God. I go, oh my God, it's a black disc. All of a sudden it shines again, bright gold light, shuts off, black disc. I didn't have camera or anything, but my very first daytime sighting. And now it could be coincidental that Dr. Greer was there and, you know, he might have brought them in. I had no idea, but that experience was really amazing. So that's June, July, 15 of us, including Jeremy Cloak, my friend from New Zealand, meet at Rose Valley, California. Well, we have a friend that's doing incredible contact experiences with radio transmissions.
Oh, yeah.
We had a 3-day event, and I can't disclose too much of that event, but we had probably at one time in the sky 3+ dozen craft, and we have it all videotaped. It was an amazing, amazing experience. And what happened in the latter part of that evening, we had the ETs channeled through one of the people that was there. And that was amazing. I never experienced channeling firsthand. And it was, you know, we let the ET speak. And basically, and I don't recall, I have it all recorded and I haven't gone through it. I still have hundreds of hours of video and audio to go through. But basically that they are with us and they are very encouraged by us doing this work.
Wow.
And that we are here, that they are here to enlighten us so we can enlighten other people. Pass this information around, which was kind of reassuring, hearing this, that what we're doing is something that's worthwhile, that's going to elevate consciousness and eventually lead us into, you know, a different society. So that transpired in July. We went to, and that same week we ended up going to Joshua Tree. Enrique Villanueva and his girlfriend met us there. So we had a little Rama/CE5 event in Joshua Tree. And then a month later, I'm now in Mount Shasta for another Enrique event. So I'm going through a marathon of contact work. And that was profound. Not as, I didn't do the initiation because once you have the initiation with the cesium crystals, you don't do it again. So I wasn't part of that. I was more of a supportive team for the other people. There were several that came from other parts of the world to do this, and we were a supportive team for them. But what we did do is we ended up going to the falls where supposedly this doorway is that you experienced last year, and he had no idea where the doorway was. Between several people that had automatic writing that the entities or the ETs were giving them hints, we ended up kind of blindly walking and finding this doorway. And when we saw it, he said, you know, this is the place. Wow. So we ended up going there, and it was amazing as a lot of the people, and then we meditated, touched the door, and a lot of people were able to enter through this door and get really profound messages.
Were you able to make any contact with yourself?
At that point, I didn't. I touched the door wall or the door, the stone, and nothing. I got nothing out of it.
Yeah, I talked to Kim. She had a pretty profound experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Latin women, almost all of the Latin women had experiences then because they shared it in the group. And I was amazed at how many people were able to get messages from there.
Yeah.
I did not, but it's okay because it's pieces of the puzzle. You know, we're getting information from all sorts of sources and we all contribute to some degree. I finally learned that after a while. So that happened on Shasta, and it was a wonderful experience. And then October, man, I did a lot. October of that year, I went to another week event expedition with Dr. Greer.
Okay.
And this was a really special one because myself and Justice Campbell ended up sharing a house with both him and Emily for the week. They had a film crew that was going to come in to do the filming of this new movie, so it was really a special experience.
Yeah.
What happened during that event was that we had the most profound one. We had a lot of experiences, but the most profound one, Grant, and this is just amazing. We had your typical shooting star that's coming by, and of course the entire group is, ooh, 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 you know, wow, look at that. And a shooting star comes right over our zenith, lights up, and keeps going, and then kind of like disappears, right? I'm going to say just past our zenith, maybe 75 degrees, it just disappears.
Yeah.
And, you know, Dr. Greer just says, wow, that's cool. And he goes back to talking, and someone starts looking at the sky. I'm still looking at the sky, and I'm like, it's leaving a smoke trail, but a weird one. It's not a vector. It's not a straight smoke trail. It's doing something. And then one of the other girls says, Dr. Greer, there's something going on up there where that shooting star was. There's something happening up there. So he takes his night vision, aims it up there along with some other guy, and he says, oh my gosh, it's forming a shape. And what it did is it formed, you know, that religious fish?
Yeah.
It looked just like that. So it's in an area of the sky where you have 3 stars forming a triangle. And this thing happens to be smack in the middle of it. And then that fish shape forms. Linda Martouche had this contraption on her iPhone that can record in the dark, right? So she pans over there. She's recording. I have my Sony camera. I'm recording, but I messed it up and didn't have the right setting. So it's pitch black. So I got all the audio, but I didn't get what I could have gotten because now I can get some pretty fascinating video. So she's recording this, and it's absolutely amazing because it's on video, it's on pictures, and you see this perfect shape of this loop, like that fish, the like religious fish, right in the sky. So you tell me, how can a shooting star come in, stop or explode there, and then make this beautiful shape? So we're staring at this, and right in the middle of the fish, that's between the 3 stars, we have a flashbulb. By then, I got my camera going, and boom. And then for the next 2 hours, a craft was right there flashing us. Every few minutes, I have about an hour recording of this.
Wow.
Basically, what this did is it put our attention to that portion of the sky where the 3 stars are, where the fish was, and we had contact. It was bouncing around in the sky for an hour plus. And what happened is the next 3 nights, we had all the activity in that same location, right between those 3 stars. So whether this was, hey, we're here, look at us, you know, this is where you should look. That's what transpired. I got to go back to the year before because the other expedition that I neglected to mention, it was really profound as well. And I just want people to know that the ETs come in and they can be very stealthy and come in different forms. And you really need to be open to this. At first, you know, your mind tries to kick in and analyze this. But the previous year, when I went to the Joshua Tree expedition, we were all doing our meditation. I think we were doing break time, and we see what appeared to be a airplane, very low-flying airplane coming towards us. And what I picked up was almost like propeller sound. And people are saying, well, I don't see nav lights. I don't see nav lights. And somebody says, well, it's got two lights. And it got fairly close. And somebody said, oh, it's a small plane. So I shut my camera off. Daniel shuts his camera off. Everyone kind of sits down. But we're all looking because it's flying right above us now, right above our scene. It's getting right above us, Grant. And all of a sudden there's a flash all around it that flashes and the plane just disappears. But you can hear the propeller going. It went a little ways and it disappeared. And it's like, did it do it for security reasons and was masked in what appeared to be a plane? Did it manifest into this, 3D for our safety and their safety, but to let us know we're here? I don't know. But I learned from that point forward, leave your camera on all the time. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that was in October 2018. Now we're in the beginning of March 2019, and I joined another expedition in Borrego Springs for Dr. Greer. So I do a 1-week expedition. They had the camera crew there doing the filming. We did a week. I met my Ignacio and Lara, who we helped also help the Greers with what was happening, because we've now volunteered for them several times. I'm just going to highlight, because it's going to take a long time. My lightning detector during that event, during one night, went to 199 plus lightning strikes.
Wow.
We're in Borrego Springs, so there's no lightning, there's no humidity, nothing. 199 lightning strikes. We had the first night a chopper come in with its lights chasing a white ET craft. I have it all on video. Wow. There's no lights on the ET craft. It's just like this, and there's a chopper, and I have the thing just going across our horizon.
Wow.
Had that. Then we had another very, very profound experience where I was looking at, I forget what star system, maybe it's Sirius. Looking at it, I was standing behind Dr. Greer with my camera, and I was actually sitting down, I'm sorry. I was sitting down next to Dr. Greer, and I kept looking, and I'm like, the star's moving. I'm like, it's moving. Like, this is weird. Stars don't move. Maybe it's just my eyes because I've been staring at it too long. And other people, I could hear them saying, hey, something's going on up there. It was at our zenith. So I get up and I go to my camera. I put my camera up there and I'm looking at it and it's not moving. I was going to say something. I thought, well, I'm going to sound silly if I tell the whole group, hey, the star's moving. So I didn't say anything. And right then, people are saying, Dr. Greer, there's something going on. The star's moving out there. So I'm like, oh boy, it's not just me. So I turn my camera on and I start recording. And what happened was Dr. Greer didn't charge his laser. And my laser I brought, but the night before I left, I tried to put a new battery in it and it stopped working. So I had no laser. And what they say is when you come to these things, one of the newsletters says, or one of the instructions is, do not bring lasers, because Dr. Greer is the only one that can use it. So he asked me for laser. I couldn't give him my laser. He didn't have a laser. So he's trying to, someone's telling him where to look, and he doesn't have a laser, so he's using a flashlight. So he's using his flashlight to kind of, one of the guys is using his flashlight to show Dr. Greer where this is going on. The whole time I'm filming, and then all of a sudden this it almost looked like a bug, this thing, but it's really high up in the atmosphere. This light starts curving and going like this, doing this swirl that comes, and I'm like, oh my God, it's swirling high up in the atmosphere. Just for about 10 seconds, that's this swirling and takes off. I'm like, oh my God, that was absolutely amazing. I have all that recorded, and it's actually a great recording. Wow. And then after that, we had the following night, we had this massive craft come over a mountainside. It looked like this long meteor. It covered, I can't tell you how much of the sky. We have it all on video as well, in pictures. And it left this trail. And the reason we know it's not a meteor, twofold. One is, when I looked at the trail it left behind, because it left a little bit of a trail, it actually came from above the mountain, almost in a horizontal position, and then curved up.
Wow.
So meteors don't change direction when they're coming. It's a straight vector, right? So you could You can see the curve, and I have it in my camera. You can see the curve where it's bending up. Second of all, within 20 minutes, we had a surveillance airplane come in and do a circle or rectangle where the craft was, right? It came, did a 90 degree, went a few miles, 90 degree, that went a few miles, 90 degree, another 90 degree, and came back. 3.5 hours, nonstop.
Wow.
So what, I mean, it's nobody practicing the fly. It's, 1 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
No one's learning how to take off and land.
Yeah.
So the surveillance plane stacked up for maybe 3 hours and 20 minutes, because we lofted at a certain time. And I think I clocked at about 3 hours and either 10 or 20 minutes of the surveillance plane coming right after that alleged shooting star came by.
Wow.
So that was the experience. And then, do you want me to give you the last two?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay. So this is March. So in June, the MUFON people from Michigan were talking to several MUFON people from Wisconsin and Illinois, and they asked if we would do a Ce5 event in June. And myself, Kimberly Porth, Ricky Butterfest, Jeff Sell, and Debs volunteered to go and do this and teach some of these people what Ce5 protocol is all about. So we went there for 3 days, and what was amazing is it was, I think, June 12th or 13th. The weather stunk over there. We looked at all of the satellites or all of the weather channels, and they're all saying thunderstorms, 80 to 90% chance every single night we're going to be there. We get there, it rains the whole day. We set up, and when we set up, we had some radios with us. We had another gentleman that also does radio transmissions that helped us send some messages up to our, I'll say, our ET friends. And that first night, we had all of our radios chiming in, receiving messages. I don't want to get too much into that part, because we'll talk about that on another occasion.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of activity there. The next day is the first day we're going to do our training. So we did training all day. The sky looked really bad, and it looked like it was going to rain in the evening. So we told everybody, we're still going to meet at the site, but we'll go under the canopy. They had a little pavilion. We'll go under the pavilion, and we'll hold our Ce5. And our apologies, because we might not have a full Ce5. Grant, we get there. Within minutes of getting there, the clouds part, sun comes in, and we have this beautiful clear sky. I mean, it was just like picture perfect. So we have a craft come in, 38 flash bulbs. I got it all on video, flashing the crowd. We're feeling like there's a mist and a force field around us. Several people are sensing this force field. And the second night, the same thing, only this time, 90% chance of rain. Same thing. We're going to get rain out. Either we're going to stay indoors or we're going to go to the pavilion. We get there, sky clears, sun comes out. Beautiful experience. 68 flash bulbs. Wow. One craft comes by, 68 flashes. Some of them are so bright it almost looks like a supernova. It's just
wow.
And then again, all this we're validating to make sure that we're not picking up the ISS or that we're not picking up any of the satellites. So we are triangulating to make sure that, and none of those were in the flight path of any known that we know of satellites up there. So that was profound. And then what happened towards the latter part of the evening, one of the ladies, her radio was going absolutely crazy, and she got into a meditative mode, and she was kind of like shaking a little bit. And next thing you know is she says something about thank you, and we are here. She had an ET started channeling through her, and said, basically just said, we are here, our service. How can how can we help you? What do you need? And everyone's silent. No one knows what to say. It's like, what? So I'm like, no one's saying anything. I said, well, thank you. Did you come by craft? And the ET responds, we came in our light bodies, and you could call it a craft, but this is how we appear in close to Earth, not to scare you and to tickle your heart, so to speak.
Wow. This is coming through channeling or through the radio?
This is coming through channeling. This is now being spoken through And I started transcribing. I haven't finished it. And actually, I only have maybe 3 of the questions that I transcribed. The rest of them are audio, and I have to finish it. But this is what I said. I said, did you come by craft? And the ET says, we came from our light being. You might call it a craft. It shows up as a physical manifestation in your sky and close to the earth. It's safer. It's more appealing, delightful. We wish to tickle your hearts a little bit before we show in this way so that you are not afraid. We understand it's a little intimidating. Don't be afraid. We are just you in a different level.
Wow.
You asked to interact. We are here. How can we be of service?
Wow.
So, yeah, and this went on. It was a 20-minute dialogue. I kept asking questions and responses. Absolutely amazing. So this was, again, profound. And what's fortunate is that we had a lot of the MUFON people there, and I think people from the Starlight group that you might be a member of or something that were there.
Yeah. Out of Illinois.
So they got to experience this. And this is where I realized at this point that what we're doing is important, and educating the public is super important. Sharing this, our experiences, and just empowering people that you can do this yourself as well. If we're going to raise consciousness for us and for groups, and eventually for the entire planet, this is how we can do it. Because we've had these profound experiences, and we can enlighten people and encourage people to do this. So to me, after having this event and having these validations, so to speak, was really a pivotal point to what we're doing is super important. So about 2 weeks after this, and I shared a bunch of the videos and photographs, Jeff Sell, who had 2 cameras there, his Sony A7 Mark III, and then he had a Sony A6000, also modified where they removed the
filter.
So you can pick up ultraviolet, infrared, and so on. Was also taking pictures. And what's phenomenal is one of the pictures shows a blue wall, like a force field around the group.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's just absolutely amazing. But again, it's validation. This is what we were feeling, and when people were saying there's a mist here, and it's actually pretty tall. It's got to be 14 feet tall. It's all around the group. So that was really profound. So that's June. July, I go to Rose Valley for a reunion to do another Ce5 contact event. And this, again, was a spectacular experience. Several people from England were there, and also a few people from our core group met there, and we were there for 4 nights. And what I captured in video and in a photograph in this area is a red disc that landed on top of a boulder. And I have a beautiful picture. It's probably, I'm going to use my guesstimate here, maybe a half a mile down the hill from us on this beautiful white boulder, glowing disc that sat there for probably a good 2 hours.
Wow.
We started our work right after the puja, and right after, I think, after the puja and after our first meditation, I noticed it, and it sat there glowing in red for about a 2-hour period. The next day, we went back night. It was gone. There was nothing there. But that first night, we had this profound experience in Rose Valley. So that's been my 2019, and what we just finished in Mount Shasta.
You had an event. Was it with Kim at Mount Shasta? You went to the tent and there was.
To go where? I'm sorry.
You were with Kim. Did you have an event about 10:30 on the Saturday night at Mount Shasta this year?
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. So I was sitting down, and it was getting around that time, and I thought, you know what, sky's changing, and something kept telling me, go get your night lens, because I just had my normal lens for taking pictures to document the event. Something kept saying, go get your night lens, go get your night lens, and then finally I said, okay, I got to go get my night lens. As you know, I have a really bad knee.
Yeah.
I have a Baker's cyst, so I can barely walk. So I get up and I'm stumbling, and Kim was on the other side of Enrique, and she says, are you okay? I said, I'm going to go get my camera. She goes, are you okay? Do you need help? I said, your shoulder would be great because I might trip. Yeah. So I grab her shoulder, and we start walking up the hill to my tent. We had our tents kind of separated. It was Jeff and hers, Maddie, mine, and some other people. So as we're walking up the hill, we see Jeff's cell there. And he says, hey, I saw some lights here. There's something going on here. I mean, no sooner did he say that, I'm like, oh, wow, there's something in front of us. So I kind of walk away from both of them and I said, hey, there's shimmering light here. There's lights here. And then this was amazing. I can't believe I didn't remember this. I'm seeing this shimmering light, probably 5.5 feet tall in front of me. And then the light transforms itself into a shadow figure, two of them. One shadow figure, another shadow figure. And I'm thinking, we're making contact right here. I have my arms open again. And then the shadow figures go back down to the mist, I'll call it, to the shimmering lights. And then they pop back up into fruition. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is something that's happening here. And then they dissolve again, almost like trying to come through and dissolve. And then Jeff and Kimberly were having their own experiences. They were talking, but I was so mesmerized with what I was experiencing, I wasn't really paying much attention.
Yeah.
And so that lasted, maybe, I don't know, just a few minutes. And then one of them, or somebody called and said, we got to get back. So we broke concentration because I think Enrique was getting ready to maybe, I think at that point we're going to split the team, or he was getting ready to do something. So I didn't want to be rude and not be there for that. So we broke the concentration. But what happened was I needed to go get my camera. I started sensing this, but Jeff's had visuals of lights right where we were. So something was there, some energy source or something was there. Then the three of us experienced that.
Wow. Your stories are actually better than I figured they were. I mean, I heard some of your stories, but I mean, I've got to get you on the circuit because you seem to have, like with the photographs, it's almost like they're allowing you to sort of document this kind of stuff. Well, what you might do, I don't know if you've ever done this, like with Zoom, you can actually just set it up yourself, go on Zoom, do a PowerPoint and tape the whole thing. And you've got a PowerPoint presentation, like just to have the one that you did in Michigan, or to have you put one together. That's what I'm starting to do now. And I will help you promote any of the presentations you put out. You can just basically, because you can take over the screen and you can just take over the PowerPoint and you just show your slides and go through it, because you seem to have almost like a history of only maybe 4 or 5 years, but this incredible stories where all I can think about while you're talking is like, boy, I'd like to see that photo. Boy, I'd like to see that photo. That's like,
I can, when we're done, I can briefly show you a couple of them just to entice you, because they're amazing.
Yeah,
take
over the screen and let's take a look at some of this. And I'm sure I'll get you around to show people, because this is sort of, I know I had Paula Harris was telling me one time, she said, this isn't a circus. And I said, I think it is a circus. I think that's what they're doing. It's like Jesus. I mean, if Jesus hadn't walked on water, healed people, nobody would know who he is. It's like doing this stuff to get our attention, so that you get something to spread because people want to see this kind of stuff.
Absolutely. And the other thing is just quit analyzing it. I mean, the point is, because the first few years I analyzed everything to death, and then once I let go of that, it seems like I get better pictures and better communication. Now, let me also add that sometimes when we are having an experience and I either bring my camera or my recorder, they fail to work. And that, to me, I think is done intentionally, because I know my equipment really well. Yeah. And when we were in Rose Valley and I was going to videotape our radios that were transmitting, they were going crazy. As soon as I turn on my camera, boom, they all stopped. As soon as I shut it off, they continued. So, I don't know why. I can't explain it, but there are occasions where they'll do that.
Yeah, you heard that in the crop circles, and that's how Linda Howe started with the cattle mutilation thing. That all the batteries were dead. These guys were reporting these batteries all being dead. So, I mean, it is part of the thing, and it may be. I have a theory I give called the theory of wow. I mean, maybe this is all they're doing. I mean, whether it's crop circles or ground traces or lights in the sky, they don't need to have their lights on when they're flying around. It's
of course not. It's for our sake.
Yeah. It's like almost like a thing. They're trying to get your attention, trying to get you to think. They're trying to get you to go to the next thing. You get infatuated with it, and you can't let it go. And you're telling other people, and the consciousness is rising. That's
it. You're telling other people. You're passing this information out, and you're enlightening other people. And that's, I think, what it's all about. Because when they're coming interdimensionally, or intergalactically. You know, they don't need lights.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have the technology to do, you know, to traverse, you know, the universe. They don't need lights to be in our atmosphere. So I agree with you.
So take over the screen and let's see some stuff here.
Let's see if I, okay, so where do
The middle of the bottom there, the little green thing, you can, there you go.
Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, I'll work backward. Well, I'll work backwards. So this is Rose Valley. This is the craft. Do you see that?
Wow.
Do you see how red that is?
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Now, it's about 1 a.m., so it's pitch black.
Wow.
We have no moon, just starlight. And I forget what my setting is on my camera. I had to pump the ISO really high. I think I was at either 150,000 or 200,000, pretty high. That's why it's pixelated. But again, here's a picture of the craft. I do have the video, and I haven't really gone through all the video. So that was Rose Valley, Big R, Wisconsin. You've seen. This is just a photograph of my video of the flashball, the one that flashed 68 times.
Wow.
And the reason I just wanted you to see the intensity of this. These are stars. Can you see how bright it is? Now keep in mind, this did 68 flashes to us.
Unbelievable. That's incredible.
So I have the video. Here's the video of it, but I won't get into it now because maybe I'll
a little bit of the video. Yeah.
That's the big difference.
Do you see that? So this was consistent. You hear the radios in the background? So we're receiving communication as it's traversing the sky. And then this is the force field that I think is absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, I saw that. That's incredible. Yeah.
I mean, that's just absolutely incredible. So,
and Jeff took that? Was it Jeff?
Jeff took that. Yep. Yeah. That was okay. Rosa Borrego Springs. Okay, here's the chopper chase.
Well, yeah. Let's see this.
Okay, so here's the chopper. Here's the ET craft, and let me show you the video real quick.
Wow.
Can you point at it, Dr. Greer?
You're actually the one that's not flashing, but moving ahead of it is right underneath my laser guard.
Okay.
Right underneath my laser.
Oh, yeah. Whoa.
See how low to the horizon is? And then it's now behind the trees or the shrubbery, so it looks like it's blinking, but solid light, white, no blinkers on it. And he saw this
I don't know. There's
a little
something
ways
below.
away.
It just went under the
I didn't record it till, I don't know, maybe the last tail end of it.
Wow.
Yep.
And the chopper that's bright flashing is right here.
And the other one had nothing, no flashers, nothing.
No flash, no, it's moving at the exact same velocity
Yeah.
as this alleged chopper. But in front of it was this other. I hope you found that.
I got it. I had it.
That was a strange.
All right, so that was the chopper.
Wow.
What was this? Oh, this is just flash bulbs. We had a craft that was just bouncing all over the sky. They're flashing us.
Okay.
I won't spend too much time on it because this might be a long one where I caught it. I just wanted you to see.
Yep. Picked up the stars very well.
Oh yeah. And believe it or not, 2 nights ago, I now learned how to properly use it so I don't have trails. I got all this video, and I finally learned how to properly use this camera on record mode. Okay, I don't know, but we're going to have quite a few flash bulbs coming here. But let me show you a little bit more exciting stuff. And that was actually pretty profound as well. But let's see, what is this one?
That was such a drama. And of course, I won't
Unfortunately, I was panning and I didn't have the right setting on there.
It seems impressive.
Yeah, this is the one that changed direction and
Yeah.
forward. Do you see?
There's moving up.
Do you see the bend here? It
Yeah.
comes this way, changes here again.
Yeah, it's going up. Yeah.
Well,
And that's the one that was followed by the surveillance craft.
Wow.
So that's the picture of it. And by the way, the lightning detectors were going crazy during that event, and same with the tri-field meters. And this is where I got the 199 plus strikes. This is my lightning detector. Is this insane?
Yeah.
199 plus strikes during one sitting.
Wow.
This was amazing. This is the swirly craft, and I'll play this for you because this was absolutely amazing.
have you been able to get it, Marcel?
Yeah, it's really hard to record the zenith, but I'm recording it.
You see that thing?
I did for a split second. I can't. My head's tilted too far back.
So you see the shooting star that just
Yeah.
went by? It always happens
Yeah, I
that
got
shooting
it.
stars
I filmed it.
occur right before there's a sighting. I don't know why, and it may be a way to get you to look there. And if you'll notice, there's going to be a second shooting star in that general direction as well. See, did you just see the second one?
Yeah. Interesting.
That was another one, really fast. There's something up there.
Yeah.
I saw it through the camera.
Yeah, you do.
Oh yeah.
We're missing our lasers. Not a good time not to have them.
Yes.
Up a little further, and where your light is. Yeah, it's right there.
I want you to focus right about here, where he points the light.
Right there.
Okay.
I see it. I know it's where his light is. Right
Look
there.
at that.
Oh yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Oh, what the heck?
That's pretty cool.
It's a swirly thing.
Is that crazy?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Borrego Springs. What do I have here? Oh, this was, I don't know if we're going to be able to see this. This is Linda's camera through the iPhone. It's going to be really difficult to see. Let me see if I got a better one. Okay, he's got his laser pointing, but this is the shape of the fish. So it goes
Oh yeah. I see. Sure, I can see it. Yeah.
like this, it crosses this way, and this goes down, and maybe this next picture's a little bit better. I had to do a screenshot of her recording, but there's where it is.
Yeah.
And here can we see the 3 stars? Here's one of the 3 main stars that this occurred in the center. And again, it was a shooting star that stopped or vanished here and formed this shape. And then all of the flash bulbs that occurred, which I think I have the next video. Oh, this is one that I already edited a little bit. Let me see if I can just show you, give you a little glimpse of what we were seeing. Okay, so let me just back it up. So this continued. If you look where my cursor is here,
Yeah. Okay.
that's where it starts. And this went on for hours. See that flash that just
Wow.
went there?
Yeah.
And if you look at his laser, it'll continue. And this went on for hours. And again, this is in the, I'm going to pause this for a second. This is where the 3 stars, see this star, and this star?
Yeah.
This is the triangle that they told, that we've been looking at. And then the fish was somewhere around here. And these flash bulbs occurred there the rest of the evening.
Wow.
So I'm circling so you can see them. But so this will continue for the next 12 minutes, and we're going to have dozens of these flash bulbs here.
Wow.
Up 30 to 40 minutes, okay.
That's incredible.
All right. Enough of that. All right, so that's that one. Denver. What did I do in Denver? Oh, Denver. This is when we had. Oh, I forgot to mention this part. When I had that daytime sighting in Denver for when we volunteered for Dr. Greer, that evening after the event, we went and did a C5 in Ricky Butterfest's site where he does his.
Okay.
And this is a recording. So we did the puja meditation, and then we had a craft appear, a golden craft, flash its lights at us. I missed it. Lara picked it up, and she said, "There's something over there." I ran, put my camera on, and this is the recording, and it came 4 times. Some of these I've edited. The footage is too long to show you. Because
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I understand.
You'll be sitting for an hour. So it's between these antennas. You're going to see it right down here.
Okay.
Was your camera on?
It's on now. No, I didn't have it on before.
So that's Ricky signaling the craft because it just vanished.
Oh yeah.
It came into view and then just kind of like fizzled out. It actually just dissolved. And there it is. Now it's appearing again.
Yeah. Wow.
And it just hovers there.
Wow. That's impressive.
And then it'll fade out again.
Wow.
There's an airport right over this hill.
And then there it goes. It's
Dimmed down. You still see it.
And then
It just went out. Yeah.
a couple seconds, or I don't know how much, a very short period of time, it'll come in again. And it did this 4 times for us.
Wow.
And then so we signaled to come back.
Oh yeah.
And people were requesting if it could come back, and then it came back for the 4th time.
Wow.
That was wild. It just appeared. That was really great.
It was definitely golden.
It was.
It was on for a long time.
Yeah, it was just hovering there. If it was a plane, we would have seen
The
it.
3rd time it was on and for a long time, and then we were trying to figure out what it was, and we're not trying to discern.
Did you film it?
Yeah.
It'll appear any second. Where we're at. I'll fast forward just a little bit more. There it is. So I increased my ISO to get a little bit better. Now you can see. Now you can see it manifesting again right there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was that evening. So we had the daytime sighting, and then we had that craft.
Wow.
This was in Sedona, the twin craft that appeared to us. This is actually in Phoenix. I actually got a picture of it. I didn't have my video on, but this is where signal, and it's two. We don't know if it's the same craft that came by. I'm going to play the video real quick for you.
Okay.
They're tandem.
So see, I'm moving right here.
Yeah.
And again, we checked satellite charts. There was nothing at that point in time, but they were moving in tandem together.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, we got it.
No, very exciting. Okay.
Wow.
Let me just contact. Oh, contact in the desert. This is the picture that I took at our house in the daytime of this. We did our C5 in this open area that first night.
Yeah, yeah.
I was panning the camera so everyone could see where we're going to do our C5, and I caught this crap. We looked in detail to analyze this, whether it's a bug or a bird and so on, and it's in the shape of a disc.
Yeah.
And when we held our CE5 event that night, one of Dr. Greer's ex-security guy was in contact in the desert and saw a craft right above our house because we invited him to join us that night. And what inspired him to come was because he was seeing activity, because we were about a mile and a half northwest of where the Contact in the Desert event was, and he came and did C5 with us that night.
Wow.
Then these were the light beings that I call them light beings. I'm not sure what these are. This was a Joshua tree in the desert where the boulders are. Do you look how bright these things are?
That's impressive.
Yeah, that one. And I have a ton of these photographs because I was just going crazy videotaping and also taking photographs of this.
Yeah, it's even a different shape is changing. Yeah.
Look at that. Look how much it lights this up.
Wow. Yeah, it's almost like they're letting you photograph this. And
there was an orb that appeared in the desert. You're right. I think that's what's happening. Okay, this is crazy. This is our local south of Ann Arbor picture. Our local team where I took the picture as everybody was getting ready. Look at this.
Oh my goodness!
Tell you how much time I've spent analyzing, thinking. This a car pointing here. There is no driveways here, no trails here.
Yeah.
And if I show you an aerial and the vector of this is a golden sphere that's actually lighting up the back of Dan's shirt. If you can see the glow here.
Yeah.
I'm coming from my camera because obviously I don't have flash on when I do this.
Yeah.
And the ISO wasn't too bad. It was, I think it's 6400. But isn't that amazing?
Yeah. Wow.
That's that.
Fascinating stuff.
Okay, so I already showed you that. Okay, we're almost done. Joshua Tree 2016. Oh, when we went to Joshua Tree in 2017, Jumbo Rocks is about a mile away.
Okay.
And Jeff Sell took this picture the year before when he was there with Jeremy, because Jeremy sensed, he said, Jeff, there is a light up in that direction. Take pictures.
Yeah.
And if you can see, this light source manifested in three beings. See this being tall one, another being here, and another being here manifested. Came out of this light source portal, what have you.
Wow.
Can you see is that big enough for you to see?
Yeah.
One here, one here, one here.
Yeah.
So we went back there and used our tri-fuel meters in that area, and we had communication for 20-some minutes with them. And this is what you're seeing.
Wow.
It's we're in consciousness talking to them, and they're responding. We're right at that same location where those three beings were.
Wow. Fascinating. Wow.
Is this crazy?
It's crazy. It is.
And we went up there and tested the rocks and everything was dead. But once we started meditating and asking questions, this is what we got. Over 20-minute conversation.
Oh, wow.
And then I took a picture of the evening desert and picked up this Merkaba. That's the first time I started picking up anomalous objects. So it's the shape of a Merkaba. It's got actual angles in the middle of the desert. Again, this was probably 10 feet from me, maybe 15 feet from me, in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Fascinating stuff.
Okay, so this is the mothership that came. So when I said it came 3 nights in a row, this is what our eyes saw. You saw these 2 dots coming in, or 2 like starlights coming in.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to give you a perspective of what it really was. These are the 2 lights. I superimposed the picture that the gentleman took with his camera that's had the lens, the filter removed.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it's got structure and it has 2 arms.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Wow.
this thing right here. It's these 2 with the modified camera, and it had scout ships on each side. These are 2 scout
Oh, yeah.
ships.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow. For sure.
And then,
Wow.
so this is the arms. This is his visible camera. This was the infrared camera. Now you can see it picks up the structure here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow.
Now what happened, these 2 arms were down originally, and I had the photo, but I didn't put it on here. Let's see if it's in this one. Well, here's a good one of it just by itself.
Wow.
Is that amazing?
It is amazing. Yeah.
And this one came back 3 times. Again, there's some type of other crafts around it. I don't know if they're scout protection crafts. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have the video. The video is a little long to show you this, but I actually have it. If you want to see it, I can show you the video of this coming in as well.
So you have it from 2 different cameras. You've got an infrared camera and a visible camera, right?
That is correct.
Wow. That's pretty powerful.
Okay, this was our first local C5 expedition that we did where I got to know Ricky Butterfest in Sedona, and this was taken with an iPhone. This is before I had any cameras or anything else. Maddie detected that there was a ship. She communed with somebody there and basically said the ship is organic and it's kind of alive, and she was allowed to touch it. And in her mind, the construction process of the ship making went through her, and she told us this incredible scenario how they build these ships.
Wow.
And was able to sense the ship around us. There was a coyote that was barking very near where she thought the ship was, and people were seeing mist. At that point in time, I was not tuned in. I was not seeing this.
Yeah.
However, Tom ended up using his camera to take pictures because Maddie was saying you should look at this location, and picked up this, what appears to be a craft.
Wow.
Again, it's just an iPhone photo in the dark with
Yeah.
no flash, but that was one of the very first local or a picture that one of our team members did.
Yeah.
That was the second one. Port Austin, this was an island. It's a rock island
Okay.
in one of the lakes in Michigan that we held a C5 here.
Wow.
And this was the very first time that I actually did a C5 without a leader. And this was my laser communicating with this craft that were responding back. And I was so giddy here that it would constantly
Wow. Yeah.
respond every time we communicated with it.
Wow.
That was incredible. That was early on in my contact movement. And it only appeared for a few minutes, and it was really cloudy. The clouds parted at 11, and at 11:11, this ship came, did its thing, which was enough for me.
No kidding. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Isn't that great? And then, of course, the granddaddy of them all, and you've probably seen this many times. Is
Pusha. What is that orange object? Look up. Beautiful.
Whoa.
Oh my God.
Whoa, just don't pop
stand
too
up,
much.
please. Crouch down and look, because you'll block our cameras.
Wow.
Those behind me may move and stand up. Okay, you see that color? No. Oh no.
No, that's a
So
ship.
let's thank them for coming.
Wow, and it's above the
Start looking
sea
to
level.
the
Turn off your
left,
night
somewhere
scope,
here.
Charles. Off.
Yeah.
And you will see
Someone's
manifesting out
infrared or
of
whatever.
Yeah, that's
thin
right.
air.
Oh.
Look at
Whoa,
that.
whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, here they come. There are two.
Whoever's right in the front, if you can kind of just stay low, because your
Stay low.
head is right.
You can get on your knees.
And I won't
Yeah.
go through the whole 2 or 3 minute video, but
Yeah.
that was my very
It's pretty
first
impressive.
experience.
Yeah.
And what I want to show you is this is an actual photograph taken by a different camera. This was a still shot camera.
Yeah.
And you can see the 2 crafts. But I had the original pictures, and what's amazing, and I didn't realize that till I started looking in more detail, there's actually other crafts. There's a craft right here.
Okay.
And I don't have a close-up picture, and there's actually small supporting craft around both of these
Wow.
gold ships.
Wow.
Maybe I have it on this one. So I played with the settings on here. What was really fascinating to me, because immediately MUFON came in and said that what we saw were flares,
Yeah.
that were shot over. But what's fascinating is if you can see the light source, the light is around each craft and also reflecting on the clouds above, but there's no reflection on the water.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
If you had a flare shot over the ocean, flares are designed to light up the ground.
Yeah.
In this instance, the water.
That's what they're for, sure.
There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing here. You can see another craft, a supporting craft right here. And I think I did another inverted shot of this, just so you can see the perspective and I forgot what lens or what filter I use on this. Again, there's nothing on the water.
Yeah.
So basically this is what got me started, or was my first experience with
Wow.
crafted in my expedition in Vero Beach.
Well, you have almost like the best. It's almost like this is your job. I mean, they're playing into this and participating, and I mean, in 4 years that you would have that kind of a collection and really impressive stuff. I mean, I'm really impressed and honored to be able to see this, and I'm sure there'll be lots of people when I spread it around. People want you to do lectures and stuff. I mean, I think this is what I think you should be doing, is because you've got the visual stuff, which a lot of people, it's the eye candy stuff, but it gets people into it, and it helps to raise consciousness, I believe. I mean, that's incredible stuff.
I think so. I think so. Before I didn't share much information, but after spending, a few years doing this, I realized that nothing's going to change if we don't inspire people and raise the awareness and empower the people. Otherwise, it's going to be the same old status quo.
Yeah. And you do, you were a couple people at Mount Shasta who verified the fact that, Stephen Greer, there's stuff happening at these events. It's what people are getting on the outside is completely contrary position to what's actually going on. That when you talk to people who are actually there, they're saying, "Oh yeah, absolutely."
Oh, and not only that, Grant, but what I'm showing you is probably 10 or 15% of what transpired that week.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much that transpired on the ground. I mean, we could spend an entire day just talking about each event over the week, what transpired hour by hour. It's absolutely amazing. This is just a little bit of the cliff notes. There's a lot of high strangeness that occurs within the group when you have the ambassadors or the ETs come in, and certain people are so tuned in, such as Dr. Greer, and then you have the validation among some of the people of what they're seeing the same thing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and you've got the verification from other Ce5 groups that have learned the protocols, and now you're getting into, you haven't got into it much yet, but the radio thing where you have you have channeling, you have video, you have radio, where they're sort of opening it up to making it more encompassing of other technologies. And with all the equipment you've got, it's almost like you're building almost like a new protocol of various things that you can do to make contact.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's what we're in the process of outlining a method of true communication, which is really amazing. The stuff that's been happening just over this last 12 months is absolutely mind-boggling, of how we can make contact on a consistent basis and have response and have validation and factual information to provide. I'm very excited where we're heading with this.
Fantastic. Anybody? So, what's your contact for people who may want to add some pieces that they've learned, or things that they've learned for contact, or they want to join you in Michigan on your events? Is there a contact that people can use?
Sure. You can always reach me at marcel@mac.com.
Okay. Wow.
That's the easiest email.
Fantastic.
Can I spend 2 minutes giving you one more thing that I totally forgot to tell you about Mount Shasta that transpired at our last event?
This is in 2019?
Yeah, this is in 2019.
Beautiful. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, sure. Oh, absolutely.
When, as you know, we separated the teams. 10 of us went up the mountain, led by Mario, who was the antenna guy.
Yeah.
Took us up the mountain. I had a bad knee, but I scaled all the way up there, and we were a very small, treacherous area. We ended up doing meditation, mantras, and during that whole process, we had, as I was looking up, I had shooting stars. I didn't take any recording equipment with me, but I had shooting stars and then what I call white wispies, which are these low-flying shooting stars right above the tree line. They go whoosh, whoosh, very quiet. So a whole bunch of that going on. We break, and Enrique says I just had a contact with a female. I saw like snow coming down, and this female came by that was wearing she almost looked like a nun wearing a triangular outfit, a gown, a white gown, like a round face. And he said it was almost similar to like what Mount Shasta looks like with the snow on it. Yeah. And she said that there's going to be physical contact made with your group. One person's going to make physical contact and another person's going to be a supportive person. Yeah. And so we were all excited, and he asked who was ready. 4 of us kind of came forward. We debated and he said, is anyone going to be upset if somebody else gets chosen? We all said no. But for some reason, he came to the conclusion that we didn't have the cohesion to make contact. Okay. And that contact was not going to occur. So we continually meditated, and Vahid, who was sitting next to Jeff, who was sitting next to me, kept seeing a white orb through his right eye going up the hill. So when we broke, Jeff and Vahid asked if they could go up the hill a little further. So they went up a few hundred yards. They had an experience, and you probably already got that he got zapped. A red spark came, hit him. He panicked a little bit. Jeff saw it. They had an experience. They came down and asked if any of us wanted to go through after explaining the experience. So I think 8 of us went up there. 3 of the ladies and myself, Jeff, went up there. And as I got up there, I immediately got into the open welcome position with my hands extended. And within seconds, I'm like, I'm being touched. I'm being touched because I started feeling pressure on where my thumb meets my palm. Yeah. And then both hands. And I kept saying, I'm being touched, I'm being touched. And I could, because the experience is so profound, I really couldn't really elaborate. It's just the fact that I'm being touched. But what it really felt like, Grant, is 2 rectangular magnets being pushed firmly but gently on both hands. And just there. Wow. Like I felt 2 rectangles on there. So I'm experiencing this. And simultaneously, I'm seeing these billowing white shimmering lights by my feet. So it's illuminated below my knees, close to the ground, with my hands like this, and I'm feeling this. And I, again, got this big, silly smile on my face, not knowing what this means, that I'm feeling these 2 square things on my palms and looking at this lights, and I'm telling them, so you guys, there's lights and I'm being touched. You know, there's lights and I'm being touched. Lasted for about 4 minutes, and then Jeff said, hey, why don't you come up here closer to these woods, because I think they experienced something near the woods. So I broke my concentration, went to the woods, experienced nothing. Yeah. Then we came back down the hill, and they also had some light experiences, some ground light experience. Came back, told Enrique what happened, and then we did our meditation, and then we broke and then came back to the campsite. And I think you know the rest of the story, because obviously you must have got it from Enrique. But what Enrique experienced was absolutely profound and amazing. Yeah,
he said the most amazing thing he'd seen in 20 years at Shasta. So. Yeah.
Because it also validates the symbols that we've been getting. You know, the upside down triangles coming together, almost like 2 realities coming together, which is what he experienced when he went out to the field in the middle of at 4 a.m. or 4:30.
Yeah, it was a fantastic weekend. I thought at first it was kind of not going anywhere, but it turned out to be one of the best weekends. A lot of events, people even after the event had events. So I'm trying to put it all together into an article and into a PowerPoint, and that's what I'm going to do. I'll take little segments from all these different interviews and put them in PowerPoint so people can hear, you know, the 4 o'clock event, the mountain event, and your event when you left the circle at 10:30.
Great. Well, I also have an entire detailed write-up of the Enrique event, from what he said to the group, in addition to what he discussed in Spanish to his group and I transcribed it, and I have a text of the whole event. If that helped you, I
Oh,
can
that would help. Sure, absolutely. If you can send
because
that along.
he was very elaborate in Spanish to the Spanish-speaking community.
Wow.
So since I speak Spanish, I was able to jot it all down, and I made a text of it because it was a profound experience enough for me that I wanted to have a log of it, because I think there's so much meaning that is still going to develop within this next few weeks of what transpired.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an enlightening experience, and it's I'm sure, like, I'm having this event on Saturday. I'm sure there's a lot of people that will want to go. The only thing is Enrique doesn't like the big events, so they'll have to find a way to get there, or somebody sets up another event or whatever. But people are starting to get the word that there is this group, and it's very positive. There's no evil aliens. There's no and it deals with consciousness. It deals with these aspects of unity of all mankind and stuff like that people don't really realize. So we are sort of, I think, starting to get the message out as to this proper contact procedures, and that you can make contact.
That's wonderful. And the other thing is there's no ego involved here. This is such a beautiful, profound, such a natural experience that you don't have, the ego that wants to be on camera for this reason or another reason. It's true contact being made in genuine form.
Yeah, and I appreciate your effort at this. I think yours is a unique effort in terms of having a lot of the eye candy and the visual stuff that sort of draws people in to look into it more, that they get very interested in, because you hear the stories, and that's the thing, you sort of wonder, like, well, boy, what'd that look like? And so I'm really honored, and I want to thank you a lot. I wanted to do this interview for well over a year now, and I'm glad I finally got you on camera where you can tell these stories, because it's fascinating stuff what you're doing.
Thank you, Grant. It was also a pleasure meeting you. And about a year or so ago, I probably wouldn't have come forward. I was very hesitant for a lot of reasons, but having this experience has really changed me over the last year, thinking that no, this has to come out, and it's very important that this comes out. And if I can inspire just a handful of people, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and you've come a long way in 4 years. I mean, it's incredible what you've done. You got your own little thing going, and hopefully you keep it going, and we'll talk again, and hopefully you can show up on Saturday to answer questions for people who might have some questions.
Yeah, unfortunately this Saturday I'm going to Traverse City, which is a really nice resort community in Michigan, for a little vacation, so I will not be able to make it, but any other one you have, I will definitely tune in.
Okay, and they'll have this video. They can watch the video, so you may get some people trying to contact you and ask questions. And again, thank you very much for sharing with me and with the people of the world. This is important stuff what you're doing.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you. It's really good talking to you.
Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks,
Okay.
Grant.
Bye-bye.
Take care.